All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Tellor community call, December 22nd. Merry Christmas, everyone. Um, it's it's been an exciting time. So I think since we talked last week at this time, so Bitcoin all-time high, Bitcoin, so we were now we sort of had a little pullback here with all the coins, which of course you feel in your heart. Um, but it's really exciting for the space. A lot of things are going on. A lot of people are sort of getting interested in the space for the first time. Um, a lot more companies are sort of asking around, which is always a good thing. The usually there's always a chance, that this could be like the breakthrough into more mainstream things, and we're hoping to definitely just be a part of that. Um, Bitcoin, if you remember the previous all-time high of like 1,300, and then you break it in a few years later and shoot up to 20,000, and then we do that again with cryptocurrencies. It's just everything skyrockets, and there's just a whole lot more money in the space for research, for hiring, the level of talent and the level of interest from people who can actually make decisions just goes up. So overall, it's a really exciting time, and no better Christmas presents I guess we could have in the crypto space. But yeah, so just on to announcements for Tellor in general. The first one, um, for the miners, I have to talk to the miners specifically. So we did a release last night, and there were a few, I won't say bugs in the release. It was just we didn't format the indexes.json file correctly, it appears, and um, we'll be working on that to fix it. It should be a simple fix, and we'll get that back out to you guys ASAP. It wasn't really nothing. It was just a lot of formatting changes in the miner to hopefully make it easier for you guys, and then of course trying to make things easier, we break things for you. But we're going to be fixing that. Just stay tuned. We'll also have an update to some of that USPC, the manual data file, that'll come tomorrow. That's used in kind of the Ample4 system, so make sure you guys update that on time. Another thing, a few people have posted it already, v2.6. So this is the vote that's probably coming in 2-ish weeks. There's a pull request open right now on the Tellor Core repo. Some people have posted it in Discord already. Go have a look. You can look at the contract changes. Nothing, I think we'll probably change a few more things in the contracts as far as like comments and some things like that, just to show what we've been doing. But hopefully this is it. We're just going to be kind of on the timeline for that. We'll be just doing a lot of local testing over so this week and next week will be kind of local testing, making sure we cover all of the new things, and then we'll push it on Rinkeby for a week, make sure everything good on Rinkeby, and then we'll push it live. So it should be moving relatively quickly, and then we can get you guys back to kind of full speed mining. It should be good. I'll let Zelantis. Other things, don't know, Mike, you want to talk about the hackathons and some of the events that were going on?
Sure. As you guys know, the current events that we're involved in are hackathons, and that's kind of been our strategy presently and going forward. And we're wrapping up this week or over the next couple weeks the Gitcoin Grant Round 8 hackathon. We're currently in the process of selecting the winners, and so we have all the submissions. We just sort of did our first review of them yesterday. There's some pretty cool ones. I think out of all the hackathons so far, this one we didn't have as many submissions as the ETH Online hackathon, which was a much bigger event, but we have some pretty cool projects that people submitted. Two of them, one of them's a lottery, it's a lottery platform that uses I don't know if JG's on the call. Oh yeah, it uses that Brazilian, the government. Can you tell the folks what what the government in Brazil does when they publish those lottery numbers and how this thing works?
Yes, basically, the government of Brazil runs a national lottery. So they themselves draws 6 numbers every Wednesday and Saturday, I think, and they have an open API for you to fetch the results of last week or the week before. So basically, it's a lottery, but instead of like getting the random values or the draws um, from some random source on chain, it just grabs from the draw that the Brazil's government does every day. Um, and that's interesting because it's just another source of like randomness, and you can like expect that somewhat trustable. I'm not sure if a lot of people 100% trust Brazil's government, but it's still a trustable entity providing the results. So that's nice.
So
Yeah.
if you use that block number as your random numbers, then theoretically they would have to overtake both the Ethereum miners and the Brazilian government, which is don't know how to quantify that security.
So a pretty cool data source to add to Tellor, which was what the bounty was, and a cool little lottery project to build around it. Another one was a pretty cool scheme about betting on the Oscars, and how do you would have to come up with a scheme to turn the nominees into numerical values and have it all make sense. And it's I haven't fully wrapped my head around it, but it seems like a pretty cool idea. But that's just a little bit of a taste of the submissions we got. We're excited about that. As long as we're improving the quality of submissions we get and the engagement we get from the community on all these events, it's a good thing. And that's what we've seen, since the first one we did back in March. We did the first ETH India event. Looking forward, well, we still have the Encode Club Hackathon that wraps up at the end of January. Is that right, Ryan?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yep, January 17th.
Okay, cool. Yes, we have that. But then right after that, about a month later, I think that's when ETH Denver happens. And so we have a meeting with ETH Denver right after this call. So we're going to sponsor at that event to some degree. Still got to figure out what we're going to do, but that'll be really exciting. ETH Denver is some people's favorite event of the year. It's a really unique, out of all the ETH events, it's the one that's, I think, has its most independent persona about it. So that's another hackathon, but it's almost like a cultural event for in the Ethereum community. So just, I remember last year, it was right before COVID. I went there, and it just, so much has changed. We were there, like, I was thinking about it'd be nice next year to be able to sponsor this event, not just sort of be, just walking around networking or whatever, but just to actually have a presence for Tellor there. And it's sad that it's not going to be in person, but here we are. We're definitely ready, and we're going to have a presence there. So I think that that's something that we're all proud of. So yeah, that does it for the event updates in the near future.
Oh yeah, we'll be smoking weed and sipping kombucha virtually this year. Yeah, no, it was ETH Denver that was actually, it was like the first event I went to after I quit my job with the government to come be full time. This was in like whatever, February 2018. My first time not working in the government, going to one of these events. So it was like super cool for me, because then I think I built like a 0x I built like it was like back whenever 0x was really big, so I built a 0x relayer, and it was fun. Anyway, I'm reminiscing. Yeah, so just kind of housekeeping announcement too. This will probably be we'll be sunsetting a few Telegram channels. Namely, so I think we had just sort of briefly, without rebuttal from Crossy, Crossy wants, Discord sort of has better management than Telegram does. And basically nobody uses the Tellor miners channel. So we're just going to not use it anymore. It's just another thing we have to maintain, and we'll just kind of point people over towards the Discord. if they want to ask mining questions. We'll
It
still obviously,
used to be the place where
yeah.
miner activity was, but it's shifted to Discord for reasons.
Yeah, I mean, Telegram's usually, it's just a different crowd nowadays. And then probably the announcement channel on Telegram. Some people follow it, but not a whole lot of people. We'll just have the announcement channel on Discord that you can subscribe to.
What we're going to try to do is make it so when we make an announcement on Discord, it will automatically push to the Tellor main Telegram channel, so that, we still want to have announcements show up in the main Telegram, but just like he said, we only have a couple hundred, I think, that actually subscribe to the Telegram announcement channel. I think it's one of those things where everybody has so many Telegram channels that they're following that they don't want another one. They just want to follow the one Tellor channel.
Yes.
So,
So those will be some things. Should be relatively simple for most of you, but I know Spuddy helps. He's like basically the moderator over there on Tellor Miners, which we have appreciated your efforts. And it's yes, it is. He says it's lonely there. It has been lonely lately, but that's why we're pushing you over to Discord, where you won't be as lonely. Yeah. Oh,
I have to remind you, Spuddy, that no one beat my high score in that lumberjack game.
He actually said that. He says.
Oh, there. Nice.
Anyway, all right, Mike, you want to just move on to the question? So I know in the announcement we had said we were going to do a year in review, but Mike, before the call, actually informed me that there is another week in December. So we're going to be doing the year in review then. Yeah. So yeah, we'll do the year in review next week whenever we'll drop the year in review article, and everything will go down. So Mike, questions?
All righty. First one is thoughts on the Ripple lawsuit. So I mean, I don't know if you guys all saw this. Was it this morning or last night that this came out? Last night.
Sometime.
SEC is at least threatening to sue Ripple about their token sale.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super interesting because we've all sort of known forever that Ripple was an illegal security. Like what on earth sort of prompted them to do this now? Like obviously, like Jay Clayton is probably going to be leaving the SEC. So like the head of the SEC here in the U.S., like the president actually gets to appoint them. So with a new president will come a new head of the SEC as well. And hopefully they'll be more crypto friendly. Democrats are usually not more crypto friendly, so I'm not holding up a whole lot of hope. But yeah, they charged Ripple. So whenever they put out the famous DAO report and the SEC, and they said that Ethereum was a security when it had its token sale, but they didn't never sued Ethereum because they said, well, Ethereum is now sufficiently decentralized is the term. So they never actually went after Ethereum. They said it was good. And so now it's interesting that they're going after Ripple now. Does that mean that they're not sufficiently decentralized now? The obvious answer is no. But the curious thing about it is if they do admit that, okay, well, you are a security now, the problem is that if you are a security now, you have to go register as a security and only trade on registered exchanges. So Ripple would have to be basically removed from any exchange that isn't registered as a stock exchange, which would be like all of them. So yeah, I'm super curious to see what happens with it. I think, we obviously all know, Ripple's kind of completely centralized and they just mint tokens and dump them on investors, and probably no one's really using Ripple. But in terms of the law, I guess we'll see what they can prove, and then I hope this is sort of the, Ripple's what, the number 3 coin, yeah, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ripple's number 3. Hopefully they just start going down the list and knocking out all of these centralized coins. It would just be awesome if they just, any of these shit coins, they just say like, nope, you're gone, and just go down the list, because it would mean a lot. Like if they gave you 2 years to decentralize, and if you don't do it, you got to go register. Anyway.
Interesting times. The next one is not the best English, but I'm gonna read it as is. A Tellor how-to program with Tellor course would help to get more people in. I'm not a dev, but it would attract more devs, I think.
Of course.
Well, I mean, what comes to mind for me is the how to implement Tellor stuff, and we do have plans. Nick has done a couple, and JG has done a couple for events. A workshop on how to, like a video walkthrough with a screen share of how to implement Tellor, how to use Tellor, basically. And so, actually, our plan for next month is to do another one that's just like internally done, not part of some other event, but one that we sort of make, put up on our YouTube, have it be a little bit cleaner, and just sort of have something like that readily available. So I don't know if that's what you're getting at with a how-to program Tellor course, but
Well, I mean, maybe we could even just, like I've been thinking too, we could always, like, how did you kind of start coding in Solidity? Like, I know for me, it was like, you just Googled like how to create a basic smart contract one, like if we have free time with anyone, like maybe you could create like just how to create a basic contract on Solidity and then secretly like sneak Tellor into all of these things.
Yeah.
To where you're like we're just building a simple lottery contract, which sounds like a super easy one to do as a 101, but if it is a clean 101 that we get people to go to,
Like
because
our
I'm
version of Crypto Zombies, but it's
yeah,
build this simple thing that uses an Oracle.
it's one of these things that like like I think the big ones that sort of need to be done in the space, like there's all these tutorials on how to use Solidity, but once it's 2 years old, it's basically no good anymore. So like all of them need to be updated. And then I think we could also there are not a lot of hard hat tutorials out there. If you did like a few hard hat ones and you were like how to implement hard hat 101, create a lottery contract, and it was like
Very cool.
npm install using Tellor or something. So maybe those could be what we do. That could be some easy projects for kind of anyone. We just need to hone our video editing skills and presentation skills for creating it. Because I know like even like what the current one that we point people to is me doing it at a hackathon, and I like can't get the code to work for 5 minutes.
Yeah, not a good look.
Right.
Hey, great question. Obviously, it's getting our wheels turning, and doing something like that really fits in with one of our main values is education, and so this really fits in. Okay, so here's a disgruntled one. As a hodler of TRB for quite a long time, the performance of TRB compared to other oracles is making me sick. Since TRB is proof of work, we holders also can't make profit out of our investments. Only miners are making a lot of money due to high inflation, and of course they dump on us. Furthermore, the team is quite slow on updating and making new stuff to attract more people in the project. Let us know what you're going to do to save us from this bad investment.
I think there's like a really good question wrapped in there.
Yes.
So I think the general thing is it's just people are. It's always hard whenever you compare yourselves to other coins, especially in terms of return, because you tend to do it if we're sort of flat or maybe slightly down and other coins go up. It's always like you see Bitcoins going up and everyone's like, well, why isn't your coin going up? And it's tough. These things have cycles, but like whenever we shot up in August, you guys, no one was saying, why are you going up faster than Bitcoin? I think ideally in a market, you would have a market that actually has separation based upon when you're delivering and when you're actually doing things. Yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add. I think, as far as speed goes, we're working. I think it's definitely hard just waiting on news. The general feelings in the space are just, you see some some project somewhere is always pushing something. So it feels like the constant news stream of things, but it's actually, you know, it's not the same project pushing everything. It just feels like the space is moving so fast in general, which it is. But you know, we're part of it, and you sort of, you want to make sure that you build things right and push and try and balance that. So
Yeah.
thoughts?
No, I agree. It's I think because we've made the decision to not rely on a certain style of updates that would give us higher frequency of updating things by basically putting out a lot of fluff, which make it seem like a lot more is going on. You might, the person who asked this question might feel differently about that, but when it comes to the substance, we actually are quite quick, and we actually, compared to other projects, we are updating way more. You know, if you look at our GitHub activity compared to other oracles in the space, we're up to a lot more. It's just not as sexy to, unless you're somebody that's actually interested in following our GitHub, which you should be, and that's the kind of project we want to be. You know, there's just not a lot of media avenues to sort of display that to people, like there is for, you know, Twitter works for pushing out announcements, you know, that, you know, just might look good on paper, but they're just paper. So yeah, I mean,
But I mean, even and it is tough. Like, you know, we feel the pain too. Like we want to give you guys news and like exciting news. Like Mike sort of like checked me even right before the call. You know, I'm like, we have to come up with something to say on the call, and you know, like we're not doing this call to as a PR, you know, a commercial for Tellor. We're doing it to have a community call. We want you guys to ask us questions. We want you guys to take part in it. It's not about having a commercial every week for Tellor. That's, you know, you could always like hype up some GitHub release or some phone call we had and push it out as some announcement, but it's actually more about how do we sort of create a community of people that want to engage with the system.
yeah, we don't want to get sucked into that dance, because once you start doing that, then you're forever like trapped in this like nonstop musical chairs dance that you have to keep moving, otherwise you're going to be the one stuck without a chair, and you're spending more time and effort trying to create these news cycles, which maybe when the cycle is going up, it seems like a smart thing to do, but we're trying to take a long-term approach and really look at the long-term performance of Tellor as a project.
Well, Spuddy says we did announce our partnership with Brazil earlier on the call.
That's true. See, you know, see, we totally, you know, you could put out a article that would sort of twist that. That now, you know,
we could totally write an article that says we partnered with,
totally
like,
and it wouldn't be any different than what happens a lot.
official government logo of Brazil with the links to their APIs and things like that, and we can get a quote from some Brazilian president that says this is exciting in quotes.
We'll just get JG to write an article all in Brazilian. No one will translate it. So
Right.
okay,
Cool.
moving on. When $100? I wish we knew.
Yeah.
There's another one. When $100? 3 question marks and please. So thank you for asking nicely. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody actually serendipitously asked about the Telegram announcement channel. This person says a Telegram announcement channel would be nice.
Exactly.
Exactly. There is one. Obviously, it's not very popular. So we're working on making that more effective. Someone called us femboys. Thank you. What are your plans for adoption? How are you positioning yourself against market leaders, Chainlink? We get this one a ton. Just really briefly, you know, our narrative is about decentralization and censorship resistant, and not having, you know, whereas Chainlink is all about having private access to high quality data and APIs and having known trusted nodes, we're going the opposite direction and having an anonymous, open community and network that together sort of create a source for a source of data. Focusing on decentralization and censorship resistant, and so we're just really trying to position ourselves as polar opposites, if you will. And our plans for adoption are basically, we always talk about it. We're in communication with every project that you can imagine, and including the newer ones. And it's about making sure that you find the projects that fit into our side of the story, our side of the narrative, that sort of value the decentralization aspect of it, that sort of are doing things the right way. We've put out articles about the proper use of oracles on Ethereum and things like that, and it's about finding the product market fit. And there's projects out there that fit with our sort of ethos, and then there's ones that don't necessarily care too much and they would rather use Chainlink or other projects. And so we're just along for the ride. I think the whole space in general is sort of feeling out who they want to be about these topics. And and I think that we've differentiated ourselves enough to stick out, and it's just sort of, we all have to be patient as this whole thing sort of evolves. So there's much more to that. I don't know how much you want me to answer that question, but anyway, I'll move on. Next question is, unless anybody has anything else to add to that, but I sort of rambled enough. This is an oldie. We haven't got this question in a long time. We used to get this one all the time, which is, could you give us a roadmap so we have an idea of what we're waiting for? So what we always say to this question is, the problem with roadmaps is that they sort of look good and they can give you something to sort of maybe announce or for people to talk about, like coming in Q3 next year is this imminent news. But ultimately, these become ever-moving goalposts. It happens in almost every project with a roadmap. Like, they never hit these targets. They're just they're there to appease the community, and it's not a game we want to play with you guys. And I think you want to trust us, and so we just don't want to put ourselves in a position where we have to lie to you or disappoint you, or
Yeah,
Go
like
ahead.
I was gonna say, like, priorities shift.
Yeah.
We had, like looking back, like what was our, like, 2019, if we would have told everyone what our roadmap was, like the original idea was, even like right when we started Tellor, we were going to launch Tellor and then go back to doing the derivatives thing. So like we had always had like the vertical product was going to be this derivatives thing. We had joined Binance Labs, and they were talking a whole bunch of hype about Binance Chain, and we're like, oh well, we'll just, it's going to have a bridge. It's going to be launched at the end of 2019, and it's going to be decentralized, is what they were telling us. So they're like, we're like, well, we could always just do a derivatives thing on using Tellor on Binance Chain. And then, like, if we would have put that out, you guys would have been like all disappointed that we didn't go with it. But in reality, like Binance Chain, they're still completely centralized, and it would have just completely taken away from a lot of the other cool things that we were able to put time and effort towards. So we don't really want to feel beholden to doing those things.
I had made a roadmap. I had drafted up a roadmap, and it had, our mainnet launch, and then it had derivatives, Binance Chain launch or whatever on it.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
what it
there were
does,
like,
yeah, it would have been useless to put that out there.
right, we sort of like having the ability. And then, I mean, even other things like like I know earlier in the summer I had talked, like, I want to build a peer-to-peer database for the miner. And that's still on the roadmap. I still want to do that. But it's just, it hasn't been priority. There's been other things that have sort of popped up, and then you sort of miss. What happens is you miss this target, and everyone gives you a hard time about missing a target, when in reality it's like, no, we just found a better target to go after in the short term. It's not that we missed a target. And that's why, yeah, we like to stay away from rollouts. But anyway, to give you guys a very, very broad roadmap about what we're working on, trying to do, hopefully we can announce some nice integrations, people using Tellor. Hopefully we can announce to you guys even building out our own vertical products. That's kind of the rough, of course you're doing this, but you know, we'll probably be giving you guys some more about what we're doing over the next month or so.
Also, I want to just address what Patrick in the chat said. He is giving us feedback about sunsetting the Telegram announcement channel, and that this individual views it as a nice place to go, and doesn't think that we should force people to become a Discord user. And so this is great feedback. I mean, if enough of you really do find it useful, I mean, I think we could keep it. You know, ultimately we're trying to look at it and try to make it better, not worse. And so perhaps we could put out a poll to see like how many of the people in Telegram actually do subscribe to that. I know we can see how many subscribers are there, but how many people find it useful? How many people find it useful and are not Discord users? Things like that. We could figure it out. We just want to streamline it and make it better. And if you like it, we'll keep it. Other questions? We have two more. One is about, are there going to be any airdrop events for TRB holders? Any way to get free tokens from staking or farming TRB? And the answer is no. We have no plans for airdrops. We don't do that sort of thing. And but you know, proof of stake is something that we've talked about as a potential place we could go, move away from proof of work to some degree. In which case, I wouldn't say there'd be free tokens because there would be something that you'd be required to do while staking. But stay tuned. Actually, the last one is about the announcement group, announcement channel thing. So that we've already addressed that. So.
And then we got a few in the chat. Zolantis asks, do you think Chainlink is at risk for similar action experienced by Ripple? How would it impact the Oracle industry? So I definitely think they're at risk. You know, I think anytime you have a token that, you know, we know the team sort of holds the vast majority of them, and it's, you know, like to say it's sufficiently decentralized that it would survive without the team is, you know, in my mind, like sufficiently decentralized means like if the team and the founders go away, then the protocol would survive. Like, I think it's like sort of laughable to even think that Chainlink could do that. You know, the team runs all the centralized servers that are Chainlink. So I definitely think they're at a similar action. I also recognize where you're going with the second part of the question is how would it impact the Oracle industry? And that initially it would probably be really, really bad for us. Because we sort of, you know, if Chainlink bumps, we bump. It's, you know, we sort of track their price relatively. I think people trade baskets of Oracles. So if Chainlink dumped, I think we would sort of dump. I think maybe over time, there would be a lot of customers to kind of pick up and we could talk to them about what happened. But it would probably be initially hard, but in the long term would be a good thing for us. And, you know, I've always said about, a lot of people think I'm like anti these protective actions, but I think these would be great things for the space. You know, if you have a government that sort of wholeheartedly embraces Bitcoin and embraces these centralized coins, that's like the worst thing for the space. You know, because like you're not going to be able to compete with these UX you know, these very UX friendly chains that are completely centralized and pretend to be decentralized. So I would rather them push people towards building things that actually matter. And if the regulators are doing that for us, where education should be in place, then good for them. Next question, another one on the chat. If all centralized exchanges were forced to shut down, how would Tellors source data?
Good question.
Yeah. So I think obviously DEXs would be a place, but a I don't think all centralized exchanges would ever force to be shut down. You know, I think maybe US ones could be, but it would be, you know, like I would say it would probably be like Uniswap is relatively decentralized, but you know, like even Ether Delta, it was a DEX and it got shut down by the SEC. I mean, the contracts are still there, but once the front ends have to go down, basically it goes away. So, you know, Uniswap, even like if they take down the front ends and the team gets fined out of the space, I don't know if Uniswap would survive. I think somebody would sort of pick it up and go with it, but you know, you can, I'd say it's probably about as easy for the regulators to shut down, you know, one of these DEXs as it is for them to shut down like OKX or Binance in mainland, you know, wherever they're located. Like, you know, going into one of these Chinese countries and telling them to shut down their exchanges is, I don't think the US government would probably rather shut down a DEX than to go do that. So, and did we have any more? I think that was it. So,
Cool.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have anything else to add. You know, Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks for being just a phenomenal community over the past year. I know some of you have been here with us throughout the whole time, and it's been awesome. You know, last year at this time, we were a completely different company, and it's great to see. Hopefully, you guys enjoy some time off, and we have be back ready to work next week, right?
Of course.
So, cool. Anything else, guys? Or all right. Thanks, everyone. Merry Christmas. Talk to you later.